Two social workers on a mission to change the narrative, Millennial Babies podcast seeks to empower others in making changes to maintain their physical, emotional, and mental health. This podcast is about becoming the best version of ourselves. I hope you feel inspired. Join Bria Spencer and Fadia Jean-Pierre bi-weekly as they initiate conversations about mental health, fitness, and travel. Share this with someone who needs it. Follow us on Instagram at millennial_babes_podcast, and let's continue the conversation.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Millennial Babes podcast. Another great episode. So today our topic is going to be seeking soulmate. So when approaching Valentine's Day, our hearts skip a beat. Our mind is filled with dreams, and we imagine what that day will be like. Either you are single, divorced, or looking to get back out there, you are not alone. Dating and seeking soulmate can be stressful. So our today's guest is Chamin Ajjan, who will be sharing with us some tips and secrets on seeking your soulmate and teach the dating game. Chamin is a psychotherapist and an intimacy expert coach who will be joining us today. So is there anything else you would like to share with us?
I'm a mom, so I always like to put that out there first because it influences everything I do and when I do it and how I do it. I'm a momager too, so I add that because my babes are industry kids. So
I need some tips.
Everything else, yes, definitely. Everything else, I'm managing Instagram pages. I'm shuttling them from this place to that place. I'm sending in reels. We're doing all. So anyway, it's a lot, but it's fun.
Actually, I just saw one of your recent reel you did with your daughter. I thought that was really cute.
Oh, thank you. I know she's a TikTok lover, so she has to teach me how to be cool.
Oh my gosh, my daughter she's 4.5 years old, and last night we were talking, and she was like, "Mom, I want to dye my hair rainbow colors and do a TikTok." I was like,
really?
Let's start with a wig.
Right. Yeah. And how about we just still be 4.5 years old?
Oh wait, what color is TikTok? She said TikTok. I didn't.
No,
she's guessing, is it like TikTok candy or just
no?
TikTok?
She wanted to dye her hair rainbow colors and do TikTok videos.
I've got a 4-year-old too, a boy though, and he is crazy. I've got two. I don't know if you guys have multiple kids, but my 13-year-old, she's a brand new 13-year-old. So I have a teenager now.
Yes.
But my 13-year-old and my 13-year-old girl and my 4-year-old boy are complete opposites. They are different children in so many ways, like almost every way. Even the way they look, they're different. You can tell they're siblings if you really look, but everything is opposite. And this kid is a maniac. Oh my gosh.
But you are also an author. You wrote a book, Seeking Soulmate, a few years ago. So
I wrote that book while I was pregnant with my 4-year-old.
Okay.
And then I literally finished the book on November 20th, 2016.
Nice.
And I'm done. I don't care if there's edits to do, whatever, it's done. And then I went to the hospital the next day and I had my 4-year-old. So
Really?
You're done.
I birthed two babies at the same time. But yeah, I wrote that book in 2016. It was an amazing experience. One that, I would have never thought I would have had, but a publishing company reached out to me after reading
wow, that's awesome.
That I wrote and asked if I'd be interested in writing a book. And I thought it was a joke at first and did some research, and it was a legitimate publishing company owned by and run by Buddhist monk Thich Nhat Hanh.
Okay.
Wow.
And he has a publishing company for mindfulness-based books. And I mean, really, it has been such a gift to be associated with Parallax Press. And yeah, it's distributed by Penguin Random House. So it's available worldwide, which is amazing.
Okay.
And I was doing a lot of work with dating singles. Mindfulness was my jam at the time. It still is, but I was really, really, really learning a lot about it at the time and applying it in all these new ways. And dating was the fresh new way that I started to apply mindfulness. And I was really passionate about it. And a book was born from it. So yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was great because I started reading the book, part of it at the beginning, and I can tell like I'm also a trauma therapist, and I'm working with individuals who I'm noticing that are struggling, especially with the holidays coming. They're like ending relationship, especially personally for me too. I ended a long-term relationship that has like taking me well went, and then to see like how they're struggling, and I know I'm finding my own way, you know, with the dating world and finding my own soulmate, and then trying to help them in therapy. In reading the book, and right away, you know, I saw how it's relatable. So seeking soulmate has been like a long journey for me, and I can say now I'm starting to have like my own little clarity on what I'm looking for. So in writing the book, you know, as you mentioned, like it was birth, you know, from the work that you've been doing with those women who are struggling and finding their soulmate and getting back in the dating world, because it can be like daunting. So how has working with those women inspired you to like really put this book out there and say like, okay, this is something that they can use to help them find their soulmate?
Yeah, I mean, I think of the book as a love letter to them, really. They were the inspiration. And the
I
book
like that.
applies to everyone. The principles in the book are applicable to women, to men, to straight women and men, heterosexual, homosexual, LGBTQ across the board. It is the principles apply.
Okay.
But really, you know, I am at the time, I still consider myself young, but I'm in my 40s now. But when I really started working with my dating single population, I was, you know, a young Black woman who was attracting a lot of young people. And so, and mostly women, you know, women were the ones who were coming to see me. So that was my, really the research I did was with the population I was working with. So it is very kind of seems geared towards women. The principles are applicable to everybody. And yeah, it was a love letter to them, because as they struggled, I was there with them, understanding their experience, but from a different perspective. And I think that's one of the things that people don't understand about therapists is we're not giving you advice. We're not there as friends, but you do connect with your client, and you feel what they're feeling. And so I felt really connected to these experiences that they were having, even though they were completely different than mine. I mean, I met my husband when I was 22, and we were together immediately. And so I really missed, I met him in my dating prime. Like I was good at it too. I was enjoying it, but I met him and that was it. So I never really got that experience of, you know, dating and the dating struggle and online dating. Like when I was really in, you know, my mid-20s, when it started to take off, I didn't get a chance to participate in it. I was with my friends, you know, helping them with their profiles and stuff and hearing the crazy stories, but I was not there. So I got to experience that with my clients also and support them along that journey. And yeah, you know, they inspired this work that turned into this passion project of mine.
Yeah, and I love that. I love like how you said like it's a love letter to them. It's not one of those books where it's like it's tips. It's a love letter on how you know to learn to love themselves. And one thing you mentioned is it's the first chapter is mindful dating. Right. It just basically kind of take you back. It's like, yeah, you want to date, you want to find your soulmate, but there are other things that you gotta kind of take a step back to focus on. So can you elaborate more on like the mindful dating and like what does that journey of mindful dating look like?
Yeah, mindfulness really is about being in the present moment, observing what's happening in the here and now, but doing it in a non-judgmental way. And by doing that, giving yourself the opportunity to respond to a situation instead of reacting to a situation. And it's a practice. It's a long-term, lifelong journey that you go on. You don't, you know, get an A in mindfulness and then it's over. You keep working on it. And those same, you know, principles can be applied to dating. And what I have found for a lot of people, men and women, you know, all sexual orientations, genders, I have found that dating is stressful. Right? It's
Yes, it
stressful.
is. Yes,
It's a
it is.
very unique kind of stress, but it
Yes.
takes you out of your body a lot of times. And it kind of feels like you're watching what's happening, or you're not really actively participating in what's happening. Or you get so caught up in these nerves that you're having that you're not really
Yes.
experiencing your real self. Or you're even more focused on, does this person like me? Does this person, just find me attractive? And you're not paying attention to whether or not you like the person, or if you find the person, or if there's compatibility or any of that stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
it takes you out of the here and the now, and the mindful
Yes.
dating brings you back, and it gives you the opportunity to really be present and to make a genuine connection with somebody, or recognize if there's nothing really there.
Yeah,
Mm.
I like that you said that, because just hearing like conversations with my girlfriends who are single and they're dating and they try the online dating, they have like all these questions that they want to like answer, like what should you do on the first date, or
Yes.
like
Yeah.
how do I know if the guy's really into me? How does the guy know when he wants to like marry a girl? And then it's for you to say, it's so important to know that, okay, this is just dating, like just be present and enjoy the present moment, because when there, that's when like the natural chemistry starts to
Yes.
build. But there's just so much of like our own like anxiety that gets in the way. So I like that
Mm-hmm.
practicing mindfulness just
Mm-hmm.
brings you back together and centers you, so you can just be present, and then you're actually showing up as your true authentic self.
Yes.
Exactly. Yes.
Mhm.
That's what it's all about, right? You want to connect with somebody. You want to make
Yes.
a real connection with
Yeah.
somebody.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're showing up and you're not present, or you're a representative of yourself, or you're focused on, pleasing the person in front of you, you're not giving the relationship a fair chance. You're not making a genuine
Mm-hmm.
connection. You might connect, but it's not genuine. And then you're setting yourself up for failure.
And I agree with that, because I find myself in that situation, because like I've dated and I'm like, I finally went on a date where I felt that way. Like my phone, I was like, "Ugh," I put it away. And then I was getting that focus attention. I'm like, wow, like I'm actually paying attention. Like they're making eye contact, and then they're asking serious question. I'm like, wait, we're already jumping into that. And then I can feel like my stomach, my heart is like ready to just jump out of my skin. And I'm just like, wow. But it's true what you said, like being mindful is really important, because as you're seeking your soulmate, as you're looking for as you're looking for that person you want to connect with, you have to be mindful of what you're doing, and basically being intentional. It's all about being intentional. Like, are you
Yeah.
dating for fun? Are you dating to actually be in a relationship that is going to be meaningful, and that's going to be lasting? And that's the journey I'm on, and I've been finding myself in, and trying to help others, on their own path of finding like their journey. It's like, no, you got to kind of like go within and find yourself too, and figure out what is it that you want and you desire and you need.
Yes, that's so important, right? People go into dating and they don't even know what they want. They don't know what their intentions are. They don't know who they are. They have come into this stressful environment where rejection is part of the equation, right? It's part of it. It's very rare that someone says, okay, I'm going to start dating, and they go on a date and find their soulmate and their lifelong partner on that first experience, right? It's built into the process. Rejection is hard. And so if you don't know yourself, and you don't know what your intention is, and you're not, thinking about it as a numbers game, which it, really is, that is going to hit you harder and harder and harder. And if you're taking it personally, it's, you're going to be out of the game quickly.
Yeah.
So Fadia, one thing that you said that I picked up on was this idea that, when you're on the date, you kind of get out of the moment and you get into your head. And I think that happens for everybody, right? It's normal to be reactive to something that is exciting, or makes you a little bit nervous, and that feeling then can take you out of the moment. And that's why mindfulness can be so powerful, because you can recognize, okay, wait a minute, I'm not present right now. And there's so many different things that you can do. On a date, you've got food. or drinks usually there. So even it's the simple glass of water, you can take that glass of water and pay attention to it, look at it, and then put it up to your mouth and drink it and feel it going down your throat. Use that as a pause to bring you back into the moment, and then move from that place instead of from that reactive place. And so it really is useful in so many ways when you're dating.
Yeah. And I'm happy you brought that up, because you also, in your psychotherapy treatment with the woman, you also combine mindfulness and CBT together to help them like turn around, which is kind of like what you're talking about with the drinking the water, like eating the food, to kind of like pause yourself. So like, how can you share like how those two interact with each other, like as you helping them, or help any other women that are out there seeking a soulmate and trying to figure this whole dating thing out?
Yeah, well, so one of the things that I found, because I am a trained CBT therapist, it was that mindfulness and CBT, they pair so well together. They're like peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah.
CBT is all about this model that says the way that you think affects the way that you feel, the way that you feel affects the way you behave.
Yes.
The way you behave affects the way you think. They're all interconnected. You can't change, it's a triangle. We think of it as a triangle, right? With maybe thoughts here and then feelings over here and behaviors over here. You can't change any point on that triangle without it having an impact on the other points of the triangle. So if I change the way that I'm thinking, right?
Yes.
Then that changes the feelings and the behaviors. If I change the behavior over here, that's going to change the way I'm thinking and what I'm feeling. And if I change the way I'm feeling, then that's going to affect the way that I'm thinking and behaving over here.
Yeah.
Now, we can't change the way that we're feeling directly. We can't just say, oh, I'm not going to be mad, or I'm not going to be sad, or I'm not going to be jealous anymore. But what we can do is change what we're doing, and we can change how we're thinking about something. And that can indirectly have an impact on the way that we're feeling, right? And that's where the mindfulness comes in. The practice of observing what's happening in the present moment, the practice of doing that in a non-judgmental way, those principles of mindfulness allow for you to be more aware of those thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, and give you an opportunity to intervene in the moment so that you are responding to situations. And it gives you options. It gives you choices, as opposed to you being limited and doing the same old thing over and over and over again because you're on autopilot.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, I can see like how that comes in, because everything that we do, it's all start with a thought, because you're thinking, because as the person is talking, you're thinking. The question they're asking is making you think and saying to yourself, like, stop, just stop, enjoy the moment, be present. And then after all that, you can go ahead and think and try to figure it out. But exactly how you think is going to contribute to how you behave and the way you're feeling. So I definitely can see like how mindfulness and CBT comes together, because being mindful is everything that you're doing. And you may not realize it because you're focusing, because whatever you're focusing on is going to determine which direction you're going. Exactly. Especially with Valentine's Day coming, because we all know like this is the time where it's like, we want to feel love. We want to be loved. We want to be special. We want to go out to dinner. We want to do that. But also at the same time, we have a lot of women who are experiencing heartache and broken heart. And, it could be either that they're divorced or single. So what are some things like they can do, or what advice can you give them as they're approaching this, this time, the Valentine's Day, so that they're able to get through the day without feeling like lonely and like my world just crashed down and I don't have a Valentine's, and like how am I supposed to love, and how am I supposed to have this desire?
My heart thinking about that. And there are people who are in relationships who are feeling that way too, right? You might have a partner, but your partner doesn't celebrate Valentine's Day, or they bring you, something stupid for Valentine's Day and it doesn't make you feel loved, or you guys are going through a tough time or whatever. So, I want to take back Valentine's Day. Let's take back Valentine's Day.
Let's take it back.
And let's just make it about love in general, right?
Yeah.
And I actually, am doing on Instagram, if you want to follow my Instagram. And currently, starting today, actually, we're doing a date yourself challenge. And so the idea here is about self-love. And you giving yourself that love and care and attention and focus, and doing something nice for yourself every day. And whatever that is, whatever that means, going to Trader Joe's. That's where I love to go for my flowers because they're inexpensive and they last and they're so pretty. So going to Trader Joe's or somewhere else and getting your flowers for yourself and setting them up in your house and having, looking at them and reminding yourself that, you love yourself and that this is a representation of that. Or you can, take a nice shower with essential oils and, give yourself a body scrub and just spend some time kind of doing some self-care activities.
I love that.
I love that.
You can cook yourself a nice meal. But every day having dedicated time that you're spending and focusing on self-love and self-care. And I think that's just a beautiful practice to have at all times, but especially during Valentine's Day, especially if you're feeling disconnected from the holiday.
Yes.
Yeah.
Out on something, then what a great way to participate and to take care of yourself. So you can go to my Instagram and join the challenge. If you take a picture and you hashtag it, cap Date Yourself Challenge, I will repost it on my story.
I'm gonna do that.
Stuff like that all the time on my page. And if you join my newsletter, we have goodies, we have freebies, we have lots of recommendations, we have wonderful relevant blog articles, and then we have these kinds of challenges to join into. And so you can go to my website, chaminajjan.com. At the bottom is the sign in for the newsletter. Or if you go to my Instagram and click on the link in the profile, you'll find the newsletter there too. So
okay.
Sign up and join and participate. I want to see how everybody's loving themselves.
Yes. I'm definitely going to join to do that. And it's so important to do self-care. I feel like it's just another way of just pouring back all the love into yourself and taking back your power. You're empowering yourself. And especially for those who are going through like a hard time, either with a breakup or separation and going through divorce, and you're just surrounded by like these challenges on Instagram, like how did you guys meet? And everyone's going to be all booed up and loved up. But it's important to also just like remind yourself about your own qualities and what do you love about yourself. And just, I love the feeling of just the bath scrubs and the essential oils because you're rebuilding the intimacy with your own self. And there's also that sense of healing so that you can continue to show when you want to begin to date, like you're confident and you're not as nervous. So it's like everything like connects with each other.
That's so true. And I think that we also deprive ourselves of certain things because we think that we need a partner to have these things, but something as simple, a simple touch, putting your hands on your hair or rubbing your own shoulders and neck or putting on lotion and just kind of having a moment where you're taking care of yourself in these very simple ways, or going a little bit further and, exploring your body and having a little fun with that. You deserve that too. You don't have to have a partner to experience the simple little pleasures in life, and you can give that stuff to yourself and it can still be wonderful and enjoyable, and it gives you that feeling of being loved and empowered and helps you to advocate for yourself when you're in a relationship eventually, because you know what your needs are, you know what your priorities are, and you know how to communicate that to your partner.
So I was reviewing your page, and one of the things that I saw was you do discuss like sex and intimacy and how that some people, they confuse the both. And it's not a topic that everyone is comfortable talking about. So the big question for all of us women during Valentine's Day is, how do we give our sex drive a tune-up? Before we can do that, we need to differentiate between intimacy and sex. So can you elaborate for us on that?
Okay. So you want me to elaborate on the difference between intimacy and sex? Okay. Yeah. There there's another part there. I just want to make sure I'm
it's like a taboo. It's a taboo conversation.
It is, and it's really interesting to me because there's so many therapists out there who don't talk about sex with their clients, but I mean, sex is a natural, normal part of the human experience. And I mean, how did we get here without sex? If you're having sex or you're not having sex, it's still a part of the conversation. If you come in because you're depressed, your sex drive, I'm sure, is being affected. If you're dealing with anxiety, your sex life is being affected. If you've experienced trauma, your sex life is being, I mean, I just don't understand why it's not a part of the formal training.
Yeah.
But that's why I ended up getting more formal training because, Thadia, like you, I work with trauma. I work with survivors of childhood sexual abuse, female adult survivors. And a lot of the work that I was doing with them, you know, we were talking about sex, but I didn't have that formal training because you don't get formal training.
No, we don't.
And so I ended up doing sex therapy, official sex therapy training, just so that I was more comfortable talking about it, and that I had the information, I could impart the information. So yeah, sex and intimacy are two different things. And you can have intimate sex, but you can have sex that's not intimate at all. It can be, you know, just about, you know, something physical in the moment and getting that need met. And then there is no connection outside of that with the person. Intimacy is something that we develop as babies.
Yes.
As kids, we learn about intimacy. It's a connection with, you know, someone that you care about. It's touching, it's closeness, it's safety, it's security, and it's sharing. Right? That's intimacy. And so you can share a sexual experience and that can be very intimate. And I think the reason why we confuse the two is because we don't talk about sex, and it's easy for people to say intimacy when talking about sex instead of just saying sex. Like sex is a bad word. Somehow we've all been trained and conditioned to think that sex is bad. But we can go into a whole different discussion about that in itself.
Yes.
But I think, you know, the English language and just our, you know, our society in general, we're so hung up on so many things that intimacy becomes interchangeable with sex, but they're definitely not the same thing.
And that's something like I'm discovering for myself. Like I've been on a journey, for me is I've been on a journey of abstinence, and as I'm dating and finding my soulmate, and I do notice a difference. It's like there's more clarity, and I'm showing myself like more intimacy with myself, how to love myself. Like you said, like a few minutes ago, it's like it's just a touch of your hair, like how you massage your face is just. The other day I was sitting, I putting lotion, I was like, wait, let me actually slow down and rubbing my hand. I'm like, oh, the circulation is just like, you know, there's certain things that you want to do for yourself, like you want to love yourself, so that when you do find that person and they're loving on you, you're not like, wait, what is this, what is that, like you get comfortable,
or oh, that feels so good, and in the inside you're like
away. You know? It's like, wait, what are you doing?
It's like your insides are turning. Like, I don't know about how I feel about this.
When is it over?
It also brings up too that, you know, with sex, people confuse that with love, and when really it can just be just lust, or it's just sex, and that's it.
Yes. I was thinking the same thing. That's the path I was going down too with this.
Yeah. And then they're like, oh, the sex can be great. And then they think it's love. And then they're like, oh, I found my soulmate. And they're just like, no, you probably did not find your soulmate. It's just the act, and that is it. And it's just lust.
Yeah. I mean, when you have a good sexual chemistry with somebody, you've got all kinds of hormones being released and neurotransmitters and all kinds of stuff is happening, and it mimics a feeling of like closeness and intimacy, that the oxytocin that is released, which it can be released in just hugging. It's released when moms breastfeed their babies. It gives you the sense of closeness, or makes you feel like you're bonded to the
Yeah.
person. But that's not, you're not bonded to that person just because you had sex with them. You
No.
may have a connection, and it might be the start of something beautiful, but it's not the end all be all of a relationship. There are so many more important things. And I'm not saying sex is not important.
Yeah.
Sex is important, but it's not the most important thing. And sex can be worked on. You can't work on
Yes.
whether or not someone treats you well. You can't work on whether or not someone is trustworthy. You can't, I mean, these are parts of people's character, or whether or not you guys, are compatible. These are things that are really, really important that people overlook and place less importance on. And they value the sexual connection over everything.
Yes, exactly. And I'm happy you bring that up too, because so for women that, who are getting back out there, with dating, even in their own relationship, and they are finding the courage like to date again. So what are some things like they can start like doing for themselves, or how should they approach it in terms of like dating, or maybe even in their relationship, like a couple, like to rekindle that, that love, to rekindle that sense of intimacy.
Yeah.
Gottman has a really cool app for love mapping that has a list of questions that you can go through with your couple on a regular basis as a way to connect with your partner again, and get to know, because you can be with your partner and still learn about them every day. Right? Learn something new about your partner every day. And you don't, just because you guys are talking doesn't necessarily mean you're talking about the intimate details of your life or the hopes or dreams that you have for your life. So I love that Gottman deck of questions. I think that's really great for couples. One thing that I tell my couples that they often cringe at, but then eventually once they try it, they realize, it's important, is scheduling in time for intimacy, right? You got kids, you guys, especially right now, we're during, quarantine, we're together all the time, right? It might feel like you're close to your partner, but you're with your kids all the time. You're working, your home life and your work life and your kid life all feels jumbled together as one thing. Schedule in on Tuesday night and Saturday night. Those are, intimate moments where sex might be on the table, where you're making space for sex to be on the table, but you're definitely making space for you guys to be alone and to connect intimately. So I think that's really important. And then for my singles out there, I think that dating needs to be, or can be really helpful in terms of you practicing, right? So lower the stakes. All right.
Yes.
Don't worry about whether or not this one is going to be the one, but practice. Get out there and practice. Practice communicating with somebody. Practice connecting with somebody. Practice the back and forth that happens, when you get with somebody. Practice dealing with the nerves and how you're going to manage those nerves, and do it in a low stakes way so that it's a learning experience and that you can get better at it. You can get better at dating.
That's what I'm finding out with myself too. It's like I'm turning it off. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Enjoy it. Like it may be different joy, and it's fun. It's fun. It's like, don't go into like, is it gonna be the one I'm married? It's just take a step back, enjoy yourself, and just be intimate. It does, like you say, it doesn't have to be sex per se. It could be that, but like be intimate with yourself and with the person you are with. And it's more intentional. It's just intentional dating so that you can get to where you want to get, the end goal, your future soulmate.
And I think it's really important to note that any experience where you're connecting or interacting with somebody, it can be a valuable one, even if it doesn't end up as a love match, right? You could meet somebody who connects you to your next job, or somebody who connects you to your next podcast guest, or a match for your friend. You're not good for me, but I think you would really connect with so-and-so, or a good buddy that, hey, this isn't really, a love match, but I think we vibe well together. Let's go, play Frisbee. I don't know. But, being open to what the experience can bring you, instead of trying to make it fit into this box that is, finding a relationship.
And I think it goes back to building the foundation of friendship too. And like you can just making these connections with someone you just met and seeing that there's commonalities. And it's okay that if it doesn't end up with a love match or someone that you spend the rest of your life with, at least there's still that foundation of friendship.
Yes, so important.
Yeah. Well, I'm loving this conversation. Like, this is like making me think a lot, especially with me, like being out in the dating world and being intentional and wanting to find someone who I can connect with on that intimacy level. And it's so funny. Like, I'm noticing like some of them are like, oh, you don't want to do this. Okay. All right. Then, I don't think this is going to work. And for me, it's like, I'm okay with that. And I think like, that's the maturity of like, when you get to that space of like, I know what I'm looking for. I know where I want to go. And it's okay if that's not for you. And it's okay if that's not for me. And I'm not taking it personal because I want it to be fun. I wanted to have that foundation. And I think it's a great journey. And I think sometimes like we focus on those things, like like you said earlier, we're conditioned. And so when you're so conditioned, it's hard to like shift. It's hard to like look at it in a different way. So it makes it hard. So like when your trauma plays into it, that's when you have to kind of take a step back and say, okay, I need to be mindful. What is going on with me? What's going on with my mind? What's going on with my feeling that's making me like, this is daunting, but also like it could be endurable. So it's taking that step back.
Yeah. And how empowering is that?
Definitely.
So empowering.
It's so empowering.
And even to be in that space of mindfulness, and it's like you become even more aware. And I wonder too, when you're beginning to date, can you heal and date at the same time? Or does someone need to be like, well, let me heal completely first and then date?
Is there a such thing as healing completely?
No, I don't think so. I think it's an ongoing process. A healing is an ongoing process. However, whatever you do in that moment is going to lead you to that. So whatever healing looks like for you, I think it's in the process, but I don't think it's ever going to like be the end at all.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that. This is a tricky question because I really think it's a case by case basis. What I want to say is you don't have to be healed. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy of a relationship. You can be on your healing journey, but I think there are some cases where you might want to take a little bit of time and get yourself together. If you're in a place where you are constantly kind of entering the same relationship over and over and over again, and it's harmful, then yeah, I would say take a little time to get that under control. If you are finding that you are so overwhelmed or episodic in the moment that you're not able to make good choices for yourself, then I would say take a little time and get that managed, and then enter the game. But you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be cured. I think you can work through your issues and your problems while dating and still be a catch.
And I think that's the most important thing. Still know that you're worthy and a catch, and that whatever you're going through doesn't define like who you are, because someone will love you wherever you are, no matter what in your journey.
That's right.
And they will let you know like, you need to slow down. Let's not rush this. Let's get to know each other. Like, especially for you, it's like, it's getting to know yourself again. Right. Getting to know yourself, getting to know like what you like, what you don't like, what you want, what you don't want, because whoever you were in the past relationship, it's no longer that. It's almost like you're grieving that loss, you're shedding that, and you're mourning that part so that you can begin to open the door and open your heart to a new adventure and a new way of loving. And I think that's where I found it to be like so interesting and curious for me, because like with me coming from a long-term relationship, I mourned it. I'm like, yes, I mourned it. Now I can begin again. I can recreate, renew, rediscover, and it's like, it's interesting.
Reinvent.
Yes.
Like you co-create your reality. So now you have a new opportunity to create what the intimacy and the love that you want for yourself, and be able to attract that with someone else. Ultimately, that will lead to your soulmate. while
And
practicing
a
mindfulness.
little spoiler alert with the book. I probably shouldn't say this. I do it all the time. But your soulmate is you, okay?
Yes,
So this is where we end up at the end of the book is once you meet your soulmate, you, and you really get to know you, then it makes it easier for you to find your partner.
You know what? That's a nice twist.
I love that.
I didn't think of that.
You are your own.
Put spoiler alert up before you say it, though.
You know what's so interesting? Even coming into this conversation, we're talking about soulmate, seeking your soulmate. You're seeking the opposite, but it's more you, because in order to find your soulmate, you got to find yourself. It's your own soul coming together, having that connectedness, having that, oh my God, it's just the spiritual connection you have with yourself. And once you're able to mate your own self, you find yourself and you're in balance, then the person that's supposed to be with you will attract. You will find yourself.
So the book really kind of takes you on that journey and gives you the steps you need to really get there and to connect with yourself. But yeah, that
that just made me like
I have no more questions, because it's like at the end of the day, you are your own divine partner. That's it. That's all. That's it.
And anyone else that comes in it, they're just connecting with you. Because you're connected with yourself. And the reason you probably can find your soulmate is because you're not connected and don't have balance with yourself. And so it's hard for you to connect with others. So then you're thinking that this is the person that's soulmate. It's more like, no, it's you. It's you coming into term of like who you are and finding yourself and on that journey that you're in, and rediscovering, recreating all that stuff. And here you are.
And it really is secretly in the title, right? The title of the book is Seeking Soulmate, Ditch the Dating Game and Find Real Connection, right? The hidden meaning in that title is get rid of that dating thing, right? You can still do it, but get out of that game and find real connection with yourself.
You know what? I think you should, that's it.
All right. See you later. Bye.
That's it. I love it.
So for all those who are listening, be sure to get Chamin's book, Seeking Soulmate, and love yourself and be your own Valentines, and empower yourself, love yourself. Even just look in the mirror and say out some positive affirmations that you are enough, you are worthy, and you are loved and infinite. And this is our episode. And you are beautiful. Yes.
And this journey is just you finding who you are. And I love it. And what advice would you leave with our audience in terms of, with finding the soulmate, either married, either not married or single, or just out there? What advice would you give them? You live them with?
I would tell you to, first of all, figure out what your goal is, right? So what does that mean? And be very clear about it. And then go on a journey of reconnecting with yourself.
Yes.
And really be intentional about it and make it fun. And once you're able to do that, then I think everything will become clearer and become more in focus, and you'll be able to ultimately reach that goal.
Yes. Oh, I'm inspired. I'm empowered.
Yeah, this was fun, you guys.
This was fun. So
I loved it.
I loved it. So for us to wrap up, so we're just gonna end with a wild card question. Okay. So you just have to pick a number from 1 to 8.
Okay, I'm gonna go with 7.
7.
Ooh. Which year of your life would you like to relive?
Ooh. Year of my life would I like to relive? Wow. That is a deep question, because if you go and you relive your life from a point early on, it could change the entire trajectory of your life, right? And I love my life. I love my husband. I love my kids. I'm thinking back to senior year of college, that summer before senior year of college, and going to Europe with my girlfriend, and how, I wish I was more aware of how amazing that experience was. I wasn't drunk the entire time. But who knows? I might have met my husband if I was more aware, and would have a completely different life. So I'm going to say I would like to relive. I'm going to say 40. So
Mm.
do you want to age or did you want the year?
It could be whichever.
It could be
That's
whatever.
What
that
speaks
was
to you?
2017. I turned 40. I just had my baby boy. And I have my husband, my daughter, my baby boy. And it was a stressful time in life. There was some family stuff happening. I didn't get a chance to focus on my practice and my book in the way that I had wanted to. So I would go back with the knowledge that I have now and be able to put more effort into that. Because yeah, I'm kind of going backwards from there. And I think the book is amazing. I wrote it, so of course I think it's amazing, but I really think that it is palatable and helpful and informative and fun. So being able to focus more on sharing that with the world instead of being so overwhelmed and stressed by some of the family drama, extended family drama that was going on.
Well, thank you so much, Chamin, for like joining us, and thank you for sharing, all these all these secrets. And I hope that our audience can connect with that. And so, can you tell us like where our audience can find you and your book?
Yes, so I am everywhere. I'm across social media. If you type in Chamin, you're probably going to find me. That's my first name, Chamin. But Chamin Ajjan. So on Instagram, I'm Chamin Ajjan Psych, Chamin Ajjanpsych. On Facebook, I'm Chamin Ajjan Psychotherapy. On LinkedIn, I'm Chamin Ajjan. On Twitter, I'm Chamin Ajjan. On TikTok, I'm Chamin Ajjan. My website is chaminajjan.com. That's where you can find Chamin Ajjan Psychotherapy. You can find my book on the website as well. And I'm trying to think if I'm anywhere else, but
you also have like at Seeking Soulmate on your IG. So if anyone interested in the book, and if they want to get some, little tips, so they can go on the IG at Seeking Soulmate, because that's where I kind of like fell upon your page, and I was like, oh my God, this is so interesting.
Yeah, that you can find me there too.
All right. Thank you so much, Chamin. This was a great conversation. It was so great to have you.
It was great talking to you.
Thank you so much. Have a great weekend. Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. All right. Bye.